voted for this administration because you value free speech. And you're not speaking out against the daily incursions upon the right of people to speak freely in this country. You are a liar. Here's what workers in the U.S. South and the American colonies were up to from August 22nd to August 29th. In new union campaigns, 14 workers at Starbucks in Madisonville, Kentucky, filed a petition to hold a union election with Starbucks Workers United, as did 17 more at a location in Paducah, Kentucky. Workers, likely pushed by their employer, filed a petition to decertify Workers United as the union representing 21 workers at Rare Bird Coffee in Falls Church, Virginia. 7 workers at Texas New Mexico Power Company in Alvin, Texas, filed a petition to hold a union election with the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, IBEW, Local 66. Workers likely pushed by their employer filed a petition to decertify the Communication Workers of America, CWA, as the union representing 11 workers at Jewish Family Services of St. Louis in St. Louis, Missouri. 10 workers at Sunbelt Rentals in Louisville, Kentucky, filed a petition to hold a union election with the International Union of Operating Engineers, IUOE, Local 181. Workers likely pushed by their employer and with help from the freaks at the National Right to Work Foundation filed a petition to decertify the United Association of Plumbers and Pipefitters, UA, Local 421, as the union representing 43 workers at Environmental Air Systems in High Point, North Carolina. Workers likely pushed by their employer filed a petition to decertify the Coquille Del Mar Workers Union as the union representing 5 workers at Coquille Del Mar in San Juan, Puerto Rico. In campaign updates, 1,200 workers at Blue Oval SK in Glendale, Kentucky, voted 526 to 515 in favor of unionization with the United Auto Workers, UAW, but 41 ballots were contested because the union says they're not part of the bargaining unit. Those challenged ballots are determinative, and the eligibility of those ballots will be decided by the NLRB and will ultimately decide the outcome unless Ford decides to drop their contest. The UAW said in a statement that they are calling on Ford to acknowledge the democratic decision of its workforce. They should immediately drop their anti-democratic effort to undermine the outcome of the election and recognize a majority of Blue Oval SK's production and maintenance employees have chosen to join the UAW and ensure battery jobs in Kentucky are good, safe union jobs. There were a few election withdrawals, one of them being a union election at Shangri-La by 15 workers in Columbia, Missouri. They had previously petitioned to have a union election with the United Food and Commercial Workers, Local 655. They withdrew that petition for a union election. Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate. In strikes and bargaining updates, workers at the Epcot Italy Pavilion in Disney World, Orlando, who are unionized with Unite Here Local 737, are in the middle of contract negotiations as their current agreement expires on September 30th. They are demanding an $8 an hour raise over 3 years, free health care, and a pension plan. They will be holding a strike authorization vote soon, with announcement of the vote to come on September 10th. The American Train Dispatchers Association, ATDA, reached a tentative first collective bargaining agreement for members from the Genesee and Wyoming Railroad. Workers there unionized in September of 2024. The new contract will include an average raise of 13% immediately upon ratification, then another across-the-board increase of 7% just a few months later on January 1st, 2026. Along with seniority-based job bidding, order of call, the right to appeal discipline, and more. According to the union, workers will be voting on the new tentative agreement over the coming weeks. Cherokee County in Georgia, their fire and emergency services boosted their minimum staffing from 2 firefighters per apparatus to 3 after the firefighters union Local 4047 leaders spent years pushing for the change. 3-person staffing began on August 17th using about 40 new firefighters from 2 recent recruit classes. They will be spread among 22 fire stations across the county and bring the total number of firefighters close to 5,000. In political and legislative updates, employees at the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, wrote a public letter to Congress outlining concerns with the administration's handling of the agency, including the fact that the head of agency does not have the legally required expertise. It's part of the law after Katrina that the person heading FEMA have experience in emergency management. Staff at FEMA wrote a letter saying in part that it's bad that the administration is violating the law. They also said they're concerned about the huge decrease in personnel and funding cuts. For speaking out against the administration's actions, they have been placed on administrative leave pending an investigation, like workers at the Environmental Protection Agency who signed a similar letter before them. Those employees have now been fired at the EPA for speaking out against the actions of the government. Literal First Amendment violations from the free speech people who are supportive of this administration are just so silly and not serious. If you voted for this administration because you value free speech and you're not speaking out against the daily incursions upon the right of people to speak freely in this country, then I know that you are a liar. In July, the Trump administration released their AI action plan. Henry Wu writes that this plan treats workers as soon-to-be casualties of disruption rather than co-creators in a new economy. The Trump administration fired Robert Primus, a member of the Surface Transportation Board, STB, a federal agency that regulates railroads, after he announced his public concerns with the proposed merger between Norfolk Southern and Union Pacific. The Sheet Metal, Air, Rail, and Transportation Workers Union, SMART, issued a statement condemning the firing as the Trump administration doing corporate America's bidding and called on the White House to reinstate him. Primus was originally appointed by Trump and then reappointed by Biden and confirmed by the Senate both times. Republican state senators in Alabama are now concerned about the impacts to the state budget from Trump's budget law. It's going to increase the cost the state pays for food stamps alone by tens of millions of dollars. A quick fix would be to increase taxes on the wealthiest Alabamians, but that won't happen. We were a little light on Last Week in Southern Labor this week, so if we missed anything, please let us know at tvlr.fm/contact, and we'll include it in next week's roundup. You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m., and we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.